Hey guys, here we are, Beast Zone. We got another killer drummer here for another interview today. And before we get started, we're going to actually talk about the channel. If you're liking what I'm doing, and if you want to subscribe, then by all means subscribe so you can see because I have a lot of interviews that are going to be coming out down the line. So I'm going to try to cover as many people as I can. And if you have anybody that you know that's a drummer, a friend, a family member, whatever, and you'd like to see them or him on this program here, this show that we're doing here, this interview stuff, then by all means send me some info, and then I'll get a hold of them, and we'll figure something out. So I'm open to any suggestions if I miss anybody, but I do have a list of people. It's just going to take a little while to get to people. So anyway, let's go ahead and dive right into this. We have Ricci Amador. Ricci, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
This guy here is one fantastic drummer. I've seen him play many times. He's very, very good at what he does, and he plays with a lot of people here in town, or has, and different groups and stuff. But I'm going to let him start from the beginning and tell us, Ricci, just the beginning and how we got to where we're at now in your drumming career. Just start at the beginning. Just tell us how you got into this.
Crazy. So growing up, my family's always been into music. My dad was actually a Shriner, so he was in the Shriner band.
Okay.
Like they were a touring marching band with all of the guys from all the schools, like Pony Thompson, all of these cats.
Okay.
So when I was little, we used to travel all over, United States, and my dad would be out there with the bass drum, just playing away. And being a kid, all it was for me was like, hey, I get to stay at some cool hotels, and just go hang out, whatever. It wasn't until later on I realized that I was actually garnering some information from this stuff, like as far as performing in front of people and playing music. Like I was just around it all the time. So growing up, I actually started out playing trumpet.
That's interesting.
Trumpet at the age of, I believe I was 10 years old when I started trumpet, and I played all the way through my freshman year of high school. But I also played some instruments in between. I played piano, a little bit of guitar, but I always wanted to play drums, but my parents would never really buy me a drum kit, so they never really, that was like something that wasn't ever a thing. So my sister, one time when I was in the 7th grade, she gave me a tape of Rush. And she was like, I was going to a basketball game, she goes, hey, you have to listen to this tape, I think you'll like it. So I put it on, and it was Permanent Waves.
Okay, which one was it?
Fell in love with it. So I remember coming home, and literally I would just listen to this tape, and I had the pillows out on my bed, and I would just, with my hands, I had no idea what I was doing.
What age are we talking here?
We're looking at probably 12, 13 years old. Growing up, I played trumpet and stuff, but honestly, I wanted to be a basketball player. That was my thing. I thought I was going to go into the NBA. I didn't realize that I was never going to grow any taller.
Because you weren't tall enough,
I didn't realize I hit the peak of my growth spurt in junior high. So, but that was what I wanted to do. But anyway, I would sit in my room, and I would just play, with my hands, and I would just memorize all the drum parts. Like what I was hearing, I was deciphering in my head. So that was my first kind of go into like falling in love with bands, because it was that year, my 7th grade year, I decided, man, I really like music. I'm going to start watching MTV. So I started watching a show called Duff, and they would do this like top 20 music videos, and I would just watch it religiously. So it was like Metallica at the time, all these bands coming in. So I started listening to Metallica. My sister bought me an REM CD that I was highly into. So I started like just listening to all this different genre. But my sister was really my biggest influencer when it came to just music, because she was a lover of all music. So obviously growing up, she's 9 years older than me, so she was always picking me up from school and stuff, and we would always just jam out to whatever.
So she was into all that.
Like she was, and she dated musicians, so they were always around. So growing up, I was just around it all, but I never really thought of anything into it. But it was whenever I heard Rush, it kind of got me into it. Then she introduced me to another band called Queen, obviously, and I fell in love with Queen. And then of course, that whole thing. But it's weird to me, because like I never owned a drum kit that whole time. Never played. Just kind of played with my hands, and I just deciphered what I was hearing. then I met a guy in my freshman year in band at Old High. His name is Ray Marino, and he was just a cool dude. He was into Nirvana. I didn't know. This little weird period of time, my freshman year, I thought I was like gangster, you know. I used to I started listening to Dr. Dre, and I was listening to rap music, you know. And I was like, you know, you're trying to find yourself. And I met this kid, and we, you know, shared an interest of video games and stuff, and so we started hanging out. And he was into this band called Nirvana. I only knew of Nirvana a little bit because my sister went to a Nirvana show one time in Austin at Waterloo Records, I believe. She had an autographed album and everything. She would tell me about it, but I didn't think about it much. But anyway, so when I met Rain, it was like he started just telling me about this band. So then all of a sudden we started listening. I started listening with him. I was like, oh, this is cool, you know, like drums are big and like just grunge music. So I was like, I want to play guitar. So then I started like kind of fiddling around with the guitar because I was like, well, I can play this stuff. It's 4 chords, whatever, you know. But he was pretty adamant that he wanted to start a band and he wanted it to be a Nirvana cover band. And so we're like, now this time I'm about 16, almost 17 years old.
What are we talking 90s? We're in the 90s,
right? We're in the 90s. This is like 94, 95. So he wants to like start this band, and I was super shy. Like I was like, cool. So he kind of put this band together with some cats around town, and I remember going to a rehearsal, and I remember watching the drummer. I'm not going to name names because this guy's like pretty awesome now, but I remember watching this guy. I was like, dude, I can play better than this guy. Even though I never played drums, I was just like, I'm kind of a competitive person. And I was like, I got this, dude. I can do this. So I told Rain, I was like, if I buy a drum kit, will you let me play in this band? He's like, well, if you get your drum kit, I'll let you do it. I was like, cool. So I call up one of my cousins. He lived in Denton, and I go and I buy this Tama Rockstar drum kit. Brought it home. I'm almost 17 at this time. I set it in my living room, and I don't touch it. I just stare at it.
Wow.
I was terrified. Really? I didn't know what to do. Yeah, I mean, I was just like, I don't know what to do with this thing. I'd get behind it and kind of tap on it, but I was like, you know, it's a little loud for me, and I didn't know. The Rain would sit down behind it, and he would just destroy it. And I was like, okay. So finally, I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna start playing with this thing. So I put headphones on, and I just started kind of playing. I was like, I can kind of play this a little bit. So one day he comes over, and he's like, let's do a song. So we pick a Nirvana song. I wish I remember which one it was, but we went at it. And I remember I was in the middle playing it, and also I look at him, and I was getting the same feeling that I was getting when I was out there playing basketball. That weird euphoric, like high, just that, you know, powerful feeling. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like what I should be doing. So we do that, and about 2 weeks later, one of my buddies comes in who's in the band, the bass player. He's like, hey, we have a gig in 2 weeks. And I was like, what? So we were playing at this place called the Magic Mushroom.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm 17 at this time, and so...
Is that here in town?
That used to be here. So it's 922 Indiana right now. That used to be called the Magic Mushroom. I'm sorry. Not 922 Indiana. It was the drum place downtown on Indiana.
Yes, I know we're talking Dave's Drum World.
Yes. That used to be a coffee shop.
Is it? Really?
So,
I did not know that.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, so 2 weeks I had to learn 10 songs, and we show up to this deal. It was a benefit for something. There was probably, it was way over capacity. There was like 200 plus people there, and you couldn't walk in the place. And I was like, oh my gosh. So we crawled through everybody. I set up the drum kit. Now in my brain, it was an amazing show. I nailed it. It was perfect. It probably sounded like absolute shit though. But that was like my first like thing into being in a band. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is my calling. We did that show, and then I didn't play anymore after that.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like we could never really played gigs. We just would jam and practice, but I would practice every day. I put headphones on, I'd play Foo Fighters, Nirvana, you know, Rush, whatever, Finger 11, I got into that, and I would just play, but I had no aspirations of doing anything with music. Like I was, in my 20s, I was a dad, I coached sports, I was working.
So it was like a hobby?
Yeah, it was just something that was just like, I could play. Like it. Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah, I bought a drum kit in '99, which was is the orange Mapex, which I still have.
You do,
and I still use it.
That's cool.
I just went in the studio with it like about a month ago.
That's right.
But yeah, so it's just basically from the age of like 17 to like 20, I'd say 25. I never like really did anything, and then all of a sudden I met a guy named Seth Brenham. And he was like, "Hey man, you want to come audition for our band? We need a drummer. I heard you were decent." I was like, "Sure." So I show up, I play some songs they had. He was like, "Yeah man, you're in the band. Here's the key to the jam pad." I'm like, "Cool, whatever."
Wow.
So we start playing some gigs. Like I never really played gigs. And I was like, I'm not too bad at this. Like I think I can do this and make some money, you know?
Exactly.
So we did that for a little bit. That kind of fell apart. And then I met a guy named Brian Crow, Darren Davis, and Andy, what was his name? I forgot his last name. But I met some cats, and we decided Frankie Gomez. We decided to put Frankie. So we decided to put a band together called Stairway Boulevard, and that was kind of like we started writing music. It was my first time to ever start writing music.
Okay, you write music.
Yeah, so it was like, okay, like this isn't bad. So that thing kind of fell apart as quickly as it got put together.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, because you know bands, how it happens.
It's like
they're like dysfunctional.
It's like having a girlfriend, everything's cool for a little bit, and the next thing you know, like, oh, got another girlfriend.
One person gets disinterested, and the whole thing just falls apart.
You're right.
Yeah.
Everybody's not on the same level playing field, like wanting to do exactly the same, or they want to take over, or they wanted you to go that direction.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Like we want to be harder, or we want to do this.
And
you're like, I don't want to
man,
do that.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at that drum set, I mean, did you keep the other drum set, or did you like trade them?
So the Tama one I had ended up selling for this Mapex.
Okay.
And the only reason why I bought the Mapex because it was orange, and that's my favorite color. So I bought it, and I didn't realize that, man, that was going to be my kit of choice for all these years. It sounds so good.
Tell me the configuration. What was it?
Well, whenever I first bought it, literally it was 3 up and 2 down like you have. But over the years, it's definitely gotten smaller.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you're playing and you're doing that. So when did you get into another project? I mean, how far down?
So it was right after that thing kind of fell apart. We had a pretty cool jam pad and that we were paying for it. And so like we just kind of would get together, just a few of us, or, you know, and kind of jam or whatever. But it wasn't until Seth came in one day and was like, "Hey man," he was like, "I was at Tarpley Music today." He was like, "Somebody posted a deal. It was a singer that was looking for a band." And we kind of had a band, but we didn't have a singer. So I was like, "Who is this cat?" And he's like, "His name's Aaron Mullen, and he's like looking for a band." I was like, "Okay, cool." So he pulls the card, and we have Aaron come in. Aaron comes in with his keyboard, and I'm like, "Okay," you know. And he sits down and he starts singing, and immediately I was like, "This dude can sing. Like he can fucking sing." And so I was like, "Hold up." So I call my buddy Brian. I'm like, "Hey Brian, I got this cat here, man. He's a pretty good singer. We just need some kind of band to kind of I want to see what this guy can do. You want to come in? We don't have to form a band or anything. I just want some people around." He's like, "Hey, yeah." And then I called Frankie, and I'm like, "Frankie, why don't you come up to the jam pad? Let's just jam. Here's like 4 songs. We're gonna jam. I want y'all to hear this cat. He's pretty good." Because at this time, these other guys were kind of doing some other things. Yeah. And so they all come in, and we're all like, "Whoa, like this cat is good." And he, you know, just had that presence about him. I'm sure everybody who's ever met Aaron Mullen, he had that presence. So it was like, holy crap, I think we can do this. So then we start jamming, you know, and then all of a sudden we start putting some songs together. And then about 2 months in, we're like, "Hey, let's go ahead and book a gig, and let's make this kind of official, and let's have something to work for." Right. So we did that. We had a first show at Toby's, and I remember after that show, I was like, "I think I can do this thing. I think this band's good enough to do something. I think I can actually make some money at it, and maybe go somewhere with it." You know, you have those aspirations. So,
and the name of the band was
Twice Broken.
Okay, so that
was my first.
Would you say that's the original or the very beginning?
That was the very beginning of
that. That was
band.
the very beginning, because I know they had different
iteration. It was myself, Seth Branham, and Aaron Mullen was the original core, and then we brought in Frankie and Brian Crow. So then we started playing, and it was just like, man, that was my first like jump into an actual band life, I would say. And everything that comes along with that.
Sure.
So it was very, that 4.5 years I was in that band taught me a lot about life and music and friendships and everything.
So, I mean, did you record any of that music?
We did. So we went into the studio and cut an album at this place called, I forgot what the studio's name is, but it was a guy named Casey DiOrio who actually cut Bowling for Soup's like hit stuff or whatever. So we went into that. That was my first time into a studio, and I remember not being prepared. it was a very terrible experience for me because Casey he had a short fuse, and he just expects you to come in and know what was up.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
I've been there, done that.
And this is me being almost 30 at this point, going like never experienced.
So the click track.
Oh yeah, I didn't know how to play with the click track.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying. New thing.
It's like, and then you got all these people sitting there looking because you have to lay the track down.
Yeah,
you know, yours.
It's
you're
me
first.
Yeah,
first.
Everybody's just there,
and then you're like, hang on a minute. I said, okay, because I remember practicing the music and I thought I had the tempo pretty much locked in. Yeah. We get over there and he says, okay, I got the click track. We've got to figure out what speed. Play the song. Let me figure out the speed we need to be at. I'm sitting going, what the hell is he talking about?
Yeah.
And I know exactly what you're talking about. It was a very uncomfortable situation. We got through it and we did the recording and everything. And I mean, it was just. I wish I would have been more prepared.
Yeah. And I think that was I was more embarrassed than anything.
Yes.
And me as just personally as a person, I hate to be the guy that's holding things back.
Exactly.
So when I got in there, and I mean, he was not nice about it either, which is good. Like, I think I needed that because he was like, hey, this isn't good enough. You're not doing great. Like, you're going to have to be more prepared next time when you come in the next session.
Yeah.
And so, or he would just say, you know what, that's good enough. I'll just cut and paste some parts in there. I was like, don't do that. Let me give you another try. You know, he's like, we don't have all day.
Exactly, because it's the clock is ticking and it's money and somebody's paid for it.
Right. If you have an 8-hour session as a drummer, you want to cut your shit right then and there.
Because then you're sitting back and then it's everybody else.
Can put all the layers on top of it.
But halfway through, if they're still jacking with you, you're like, that's no bueno.
Not at all, man. And that was my first like kind of like oh shit moment. Like, this is serious. You know, of course we spend a lot of money on that album too.
I bet. Yeah, you do. Absolutely. So you're moving along and then what's your next project that you got?
So the Twice Broken thing kind of came and went for me personally. Okay. Those guys continued on with what they were doing. Yeah. Matter of fact, so when I got out of the Twice Broken thing, I was getting ready to hang it up, like, because I experienced so much of my life here in that 4.5 years. I kind of was tired. I was burnt out, and there was just a lot of things I was trying to clean up personally for myself at that time. So I was gonna just not play. Like, I was like, I'm gonna retire. I'm gonna sell my drums. I'm done.
That's serious.
Yeah, because I'm just like that. I'm just like, you know what? I'm done with it. You know, just throw it away to the side. But I went to Vegas for vacations, like right after Twice Broken and I, after we kind of separated our relationship. I went to Vegas for a week to get away, and I get a phone call from a guy named Dusty Potter, who was in a band called the Blue Light Special. And he was like, hey man, he's like, our drummer, he's got some family issues going on, so he has to take some time off. We heard that you're a free agent now. Would you like to come in and play and drum for us? So I'm like, oh, what kind of music are you? He's like, blues. I've never played blues in my life. Right. I was the type of person, like, I am playing rock and roll music. That's what I'm doing. You know,
me and David talked about that the last interview, and we were talking about this. You know, some drummers, they're honed in on a certain style, and that's what they do. And then, you know, but that you have different people playing different styles. But then, if you get out of your element, you know, to me, I think it's a great learning experience if you want to, you know. But I think it's great to get used to playing or try it out, playing different types of music. It gives you another dimension of how, you know, another beat, you know, opposed to just a straight, you know, 4/4. You're like, holy crap, I got to do what?
I got playing 6. Or 12/8. What is that?
Yeah, what is that?
I didn't know. Oh, but so I get into this Blue Light Special thing, and I'm like, I realized quickly I suck. You know, like because I kind of went in there oh, the drummer for Twice Broken. I play all this heavy rock music. Oh, that's not what you guys need. This is blues music. It's different. It's about the vocalist. It's about that feel.
Yes, it feels.
So I get in there and I struggled with that band, but I think I was in that band for maybe 4 or 5 months, maybe 6 months. But I felt like over time I started getting better. But during this time when I was in this band, I get a call from a guy named James Cook.
Right. Okay.
I've known James for a long time, but I never knew James. James was Mr. Old High. When I went to Old High, he was Mr. Popular, whatever. His band opened up for Twice Broken a few times, and I remember sitting there watching and seeing Jose on drums back there, and I'm thinking, I want to be in that band. I like that guy. Like, I love James's approach to music. I liked his style. He was very all over the place and ADD, and I felt like that was me too. And so James calls me and he's like, I got a vacancy at drums. Would you like to come in and audition?
Wow.
You know, see if this maybe can be a thing. I was like, yes.
Awesome.
I was so excited. So I go in with James Cook, and at this time James doing still rock music and it kind of this weird Ben Folds thing.
Yeah.
With
didn't he do some Foo Fighters stuff?
Yeah, so he was he did a Foo Fighters cover band called Pity the Fool.
Exactly.
With,
I remember
think
seeing
Troy Walker was in that band and all that.
and
I saw them once at the Office, and they were incredible.
Yes, I did. I was there too.
Oh
I
man,
remember that.
so
I remember
incredible.
that show.
But I was like, I wanted to play with this guy, so I get in. It's just he and I, and he's like, I'm gonna throw some songs at you and let's see what happens. So we play, and I'm like, we connect. And so
awesome.
I'm like, I'm in love. So I go back to Blue Light Special. I'm like, sorry guys.
Oh man.
The New Year's show is gonna be my last show because I'm gonna join the James Cook band.
Wow.
You know, and it was fine because the Blue Lights kind of was everybody's side project anyway.
Right.
So, you know, I ended up exiting that band, but being in that band taught me a lot because when I was in the Twice Broken band, we were kind of just in our own element. So I never really got out and got to meet other people and stuff. And so being in the Blue Light Special allowed me to start meeting other cats and other musicians and forming some relationships.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
it saved me, I believe. That band in particular saved me from quitting.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, and then I get into the James
Yeah,
thing, and
right.
that was a whole thing that took
And
off.
you're still with James?
I'm still with James,
Okay.
but we're an Americana / country band now.
Okay.
And that was a whole different thing in itself.
Okay. I could probably understand how that would go. But I mean, but you like it though, right?
I love it. So again, going back to the rock thing, I was always like, hey, I'm a rock drummer.
Yeah, right.
This is what I'm doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
But then James and I did this. You know, we were called James Cook and the Audacity. So it was just kind of zany, kind of wacky band where we did some rock, we did some piano stuff. At one point we had some horns. It was very Ben Folds, but very like ADD, like all over the place. And it was just really, really good. But at some point it got to a point where James was just ready to change.
Yeah.
You know, he's a singer-songwriter and he goes to what feels good for him. So the Audacity kind of came to the end. We just kind of backed away.
Yeah, right.
I hadn't seen him in probably 6-7 months. He calls me one day and he's like, I'm doing this Americana country band. I would like for you to come in and drum for me, but I want you to see what it is. Because I was like, I don't know, man, country, I don't know.
Yeah.
He's like, just come check it out and just see if it's something, man. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. So I show up at an acoustic thing and I'm listening to his music. I'm like, it literally is the same stuff he was writing before, but just acoustically, you know?
Yeah, okay.
And so I was like, all right, that's cool. So I started jamming with them with this thing, but I had to learn a lot with this because it wasn't the same going at it. It was like I have to be very in the pocket, very chill because it's very lyrically driven.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
In other words, he's the focus. And
he's the focus.
Y'all are accompanying
that
music.
Exactly.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean there. Yes.
So that was another big transition for me because I was like, okay, now I'm playing country, so now I'm have to relearn how to play drums. I had to change up my configuration. I made it less.
Right.
Because I'm not having to do so much more.
Well, sure, absolutely. That makes sense. So, what did you end up with?
I end up most of the time I'll end up just using a snare and floor tom and kick drum. It's very simple because literally I'm just keeping the backbeat.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
And again, it's that style of music is very lyrically driven and stuff.
Exactly.
And which is great, man, because there's sometimes, man, I get caught up in the lyrics. Man. If you ever heard a James Cook song, you realize that most of it's about his life, and so you just like.
Isn't that weird? I mean, I've had that episode where you're playing with the song and the song sounds so good.
Yeah.
And everything is just clicking, and you like almost forget that you're playing the drum part.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh shit.
I focus. I'm back in. I got a part coming up.
And I kept thinking, I mean that is really weird.
Yeah.
Because that means you're in the groove there.
Yeah.
And
you're
and it
feeling
sounds so
the entire
good.
song.
Yeah, and it sounds so good. It's like listening to a record.
Yeah.
And you're just involved in it. It's like I know exactly, dude.
Yeah.
I kept thinking, surely somebody else has been in this song.
Again, like going back to the Twice Broken thing, when I was in this rock band, when you're playing rock music, you're just out there just to fuck stuff up.
Exactly.
You're out there, you're sweating, you're like, we have this energy, we're gonna get it. And then when you get into that kind of stuff, it's like you're being more meticulous about things. You're hearing the song more.
I played drums for A Bottom.
Yeah.
And I'm exactly like you are in that respect. The music was a little different and everything slowed down. And I come to the realization that the slower the song is, the harder it is to play it.
Absolutely.
And I never ever even thought that would be a factor. I thought a slower song, that's got to be even easier. Dude,
it's harder.
It's harder, and it's like you got to learn to compose. And like you said, man, I'm telling you, the drummer's job is really, it is pretty intense. And sometimes
because you got to really understand.
You got to go from coming off a high.
That's it. Yeah.
And then I don't know about you, but I've got to in my brain, I have to think the song to bring me down, dude. Because if you don't, you start the song off too fast.
A lot of times, when we do a set list, we will make sure we plan that out to where we're kind of coming down. Because if
that's very
you want to be
important.
here and then go here,
no,
my heart rate's up, and I'm like, I gotta,
It's like being in the fucking plane and dropping altitude.
Like,
that's exactly what it feels like. You're like, holy crap.
And rhythmically, it's almost impossible to really to dial that in if you're coming from up here. Because
it is.
You said you're already so amped up.
It is. That's why I'm always hoping and praying that keep talking, so I can get my thoughts together here. And then I'm like, okay, we're ready. And they're like, you ready? I'm like, okay, here we go. But yeah, dude, slower songs, I would have never thought they would.
But I'll tell you what, I cheat though. I use a click track.
Do you?
Oh yeah, I do not play without a click anymore.
Really?
I started playing with the click probably 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, and I will not play without the click.
Really? I mean, does it give you a sense of
it's there.
Okay.
I know where the BPM is.
Right. But I mean, you can, without concentrating.
At this point, I don't even, it's just, I hear it.
Okay, you hear it.
But I'm just playing, and I'm, usually when I watch the footage back, I'm like, man, that's spot on, But it's just there, and I'll waver, I'll teeter on either side of that beat, You just, you feel it, or sometimes you don't want to be so robotic with it, you want to still breathe with it, but also I like to keep it, it's just a good measurement to keep everything at a smooth.
Yeah. Do you use in-ears?
I do.
Okay. What's your experience on that?
So I switched to using in-ears about 4 years ago, and I will not play without them.
Really?
Yeah. Well, one of the issues I was having when I was doing all the rock stuff is that I was getting tinnitus. My ears are ringing.
Okay.
Then it was an issue to where, 4 songs in, the monitor wasn't loud enough. So I couldn't hear. So I'm going deaf basically. I'm like, turn it up, and it's just. Well, another thing is that playing live music all the time, you start realizing, well, there's this whole thing called, like the noise on stage. If it surpasses what's coming out, it's just going to sound like shit. So then you try to just. And this is me personally. This doesn't work for everybody, but for me, I just try to keep everything at a nice, even low volume. But also playing with in-ear monitors for me allows me to not play so hard and push.
I was going to say, surely when you have that in your ear, I mean, you don't see the point of hitting hard.
No,
right?
It doesn't mean that I'm less powerful. I still have a pretty good whip.
Yeah.
But I'm not driving.
Yes, exactly.
If that makes sense. So I'm not blowing myself out 4 songs in, and I'm just like, I'm just tired. Now it's like I got in-ears, I got a click. I can sit in this pocket all day long. Got a fan on me. I got one bead of sweat coming down. I'm like, I'm gonna smell good after this show. Like, I mean, I do sweat a lot.
Because like I said, when you get older, it gets harder, especially when you're like, holy crap, I need an oxygen mask. Oxygen mask, nurse.
Yeah. The other thing, and I believe in having in-ears that sound really good, because I started out using single drivers, and then all of a sudden I went to 3, and I was like, that's a huge difference. I went to 4. Yeah. Wow, now my in-ears are now 8 drivers, and I hear the lows are perfect. Everything just sounds
so does the rest of the band use in-ears?
James will from time to time.
Okay.
Tim, no. Most of the older cats don't.
Okay.
Yeah. They're set in those ways, which is fine.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I have to. I need to be able to hear everything through the whole show.
Stage volume. I mean, it's not really intense stage volume.
No, because I don't have a monitor just blasting back there. So and again, it allows me to play softer, but I also play with a smaller drum kit now because I let the mics do the work.
Okay, I was going to ask you. So they're on a mic.
Yeah,
so they're not triggers or nothing.
Yeah, it's all mics. Yeah. Okay. So I play with it's called a Yamaha hip kit. Mm-hmm. It's a very small drum kit, but it sounds great mic'd up. Does not put a lot of volume out, and acoustically, but it's exactly what I need to have because we play a lot of small venues, and I'm not trying to go out there.
You don't want
blow things out.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. There, I mean, you don't want to overdo it when you don't have to. Like I said, if you're doing a lot of shows, like I said, moving a lot of equipment. It gets very tiring. You know,
Yeah.
you have roadies, which nobody does, I don't think. But you know,
boy can dream.
yeah. So you've done some recording with James.
Yeah.
You've been to some studios,
Yeah.
and you kind of progressed through that, learning face and stuff. So now you feel like if anything came up, you would pretty much be prepared.
I feel like at this point in my drumming career, I feel like I've put the tools that I need. Like I have all these tools that I've created over the years. So like, you know, when it comes to the studio time, now when James and I go in, or if I go in, like I've been in for Bailey, I've been in for other people, I'm ready to go. I already know what the BPM is going to be, so I've already practiced with the click. I've gotten a system down where I write my notes now. So it's funny because like I play for Faith Baptist Church on Sundays, and I don't really have a lot of time to practice that music at all.
I gotcha.
So what I'll do is I'll just listen to it and I'll write my drum parts out on paper or on my tablet.
Yeah.
So I've got a pretty good system of writing music out, and then obviously just having the click and all that.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't you do something with the Wichita Theater or something?
Backdoor. Okay.
Backdoor. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
I will have to say that as far as being a drummer goes, I feel like the point to where I really felt like I changed as a drummer is when I joined the Backdoor Theater.
Really?
So Dusty Potter, who's the Blue Light Special guy, he called me one day. He's like, "Hey man, there's a show at the theater. It's like 80s music. You know it. Can you come do it?" I'm like, "Sure, no problem, whatever." He's like, "Yeah, you'll have no problem." I'm like, "Cool." So I show up, and before I showed up, I get a call from a lady named Robin Mikalunas. So she's like, "Hey, I got your music here." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I show up and I pick up this book, and it's drum music. It is sheet music.
Literally,
and I was like,
"Oh, really?"
And I'm looking at this, I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" And this is a week before Tech Week because I guess the drummer they had backed out. So I'm like, "Oh no, I don't know how to read music."
Yeah.
I know how to read trumpet music, not drum music. I get this stuff, and then what I do, they said, "Hey, you can hear the cast recording on Apple Music. You can download the thing."
Okay.
So I memorized it. 3 days, I memorized the entire score, and I didn't use that music at all because I didn't know how to read it. So I go into Tech Week, and it was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. Like it wasn't a rock show. It was a play. It was and so now I'm having to. It's not about me. It's not really about the band. We're accompanist to all these actors.
Exactly.
We have, all these transitions. We have these vamps going on.
Wow.
We have a band director, Robin, telling us how to move forward.
Yeah, band director.
It was insane, and I fell in love with it. I was like,
really?
This is what I need to do.
That's awesome,
because it was challenging. It was different. So the next show we did was Big River. Again, I cheated, and I memorized the music. But I realized at that point, I was like, if I want to do this, I can't do that. So first thing I did was I bought a electronic drum kit. I bought a Roland TD50, the big boy.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's what I need because I need to be able to play normally. And the second thing I did was I started going to all these people in our band. They're all band directors and they're all people who have music degrees. I start asking questions.
Really?
What does this mean? What does that mean? I don't understand
like
this.
The signature of the
score,
like
just anything. What does this line mean? What does that mean?
Right.
Oh, that means repeat. And then I had to learn how to count. And it sounds weird to say that, but a lot of theater music, I'll be out for 27 measures in a row. But within those 27 measures, you have time measures of 3, of 6, of 12, of 7, of 5, of 4. And so I have to be able to count each of these measures. So whenever it comes to me, I'm in.
You're in.
And I'm not coming in early or late. So then all of a sudden, I had to learn to count music. And I had to learn to read. So I did a show called School of Rock, which we were on the School of Rock. It was a summer youth musical with kids.
Right.
That was the first show that I actually didn't listen to the soundtrack. I just showed up, put my music down, and I sight read that sucker. And I was like, I'm a real musician!
That's awesome, dude.
That was the breaking point for me. I was like,
that
okay.
Really cool. Now, how long ago was that? Or do you still involved in that?
That was probably like 5 years ago.
Oh, okay. So so you're out of that?
No, I'm still.
You
whenever
still
there's a show,
okay.
I do them. Yeah,
That's
I did
cool,
the Great the Trailer Park the musical. Anything that they have that has a band, I'm usually pretty much their main drummer.
Right,
so
right. That's cool, man.
Yeah, it's been fun.
That's something to be proud of. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You're going into different.
Yeah, it's different. It keeps everything fresh. It keeps playing drums fresh. But it allows me to just tap into different. I mean, I did Mamma Mia, and it's all ABBA music, you know. So like, who listens to that? You know, ABBA. Like, I never did, but then all of a sudden I love that soundtrack. It's great. The score is great.
That is too cool. So, do you have anything on social media that you'd like to share? As far as like music and or just videos or just anything in general that you're playing? You know?
I have an Instagram. It's my drumming professional Instagram page, which is a little lackluster, but it's Ricci_drummer, and that's on Instagram. You can check that out. I have a couple videos posted. I really need to do better with social media, but I got some stuff on there that you can kind of check out and just see what I do. But I drum for Hannibal Lecter. James,
that's another band that I was going to ask you about because I remember seeing you play with them.
Yeah, we're an 80s cover band.
Right.
So
you play a lot of cool stuff. I mean, you play all the good stuff.
I like our set. I never thought in a million years I would ever play Tom Sawyer live in front of you.
That's what I was fixing to lead up to that. I was like, this guy is the only guy that I know can play Tom Sawyer. I mean, note for note, lick for lick, anything. I mean, just perfect, man. Because I've seen him do it more than once.
Some nights it's really good. Some nights it's a little off. But you know, that's one of them songs. So everybody in the band, in any band, guitarists, singers, they'll have their one signature song. You know, like a guitarist will have that song.
Yes, exactly.
For me, it's Tom Sawyer, and I know when I play and I look out and I see Mike Hardison or you there, I'm like, these assholes are going to be judging me, and I've got to be on my game and be able to play. You know, because drums, it's funny because I always laugh, you know, guitarists will always gush over other guitarists' gear. Like, they're gearheads, you know. Singers are always compliment other singers. Drummers, we stand there with a stink face, like, I see what you're doing, bro. Like, it's a little competitive, but it's a healthy competitive.
Well, you know, but I've learned to appreciate,
for sure,
because, you know, when I was growing up, there was not a lot of drummers here. When I was in the 70s, in early 80s, it wasn't like now. It's like, dude, there's so much talent here, it's unbelievable. And it's like I go see these bands and I'm like, God damn, that's some bitch good. You know, and I'm like, you know, man,
I gotta step up.
You know, like, what can I do now? What do I gotta do to come up a little bit? But anyway, no, I'm really appreciative of all these young guys that are just wailing away, doing what they're doing, and they're very, very good. And like I said, you're one of the best. That's for damn sure, dude. Let's talk about so cymbals and stuff. Do you have any kind of preference on cymbals?
I use Zildjian A Customs. I really like the A Customs because they're pretty warm. They're not so bright, and they don't cut through so harshly, I guess. For all these different genres of music I play, I feel like those are the ones that kind of suit any situation. When I was in Twice Broken, I used to use the Z Customs. I don't think they have Z's anymore.
No, I don't think so either.
But those things
I remember having those. Yes.
Man, they would just split your head in two.
I know, right?
They were so loud.
They're very sturdy and they're hand hammered, and you like had that big Z. And man, these are some bad boys right here.
You made some business with those.
It's kind of like a Paisley Rude cymbal, you know. It's kind of that same type. It's just an aggressive, very aggressive cymbal and stuff like that. I use A Customs also when I play with this set, but I do like my Pisces.
For sure.
You know, my inspirations, you know, John Bonham when I was growing up, you know, Peter Criss and stuff. So, you know, it's just, I take a little from what I learned when I was growing up and just, you know, getting into the music and stuff. But anyway, so did you bring any sticks today?
I may have.
You may have. I hope you did. Okay, looky there. Okay, what are you rocking on sticks?
So these are actually the dope sticks. I don't know if you've ever seen these.
No.
Yeah, so I've seen several drummers on Instagram that promote these sticks. They come in all different colors. I have orange, neon green, like blue. I like them because they're a little flashy. They're fun. I use them a lot with my 80s cover band, Hannibal Lecter.
Yes.
Just because they're bright.
Okay, but so you're not a lot on tip guy, or
no? I just like the ball.
Wood? Really?
Yeah, awesome. Just the wood. And I've gone down to 5As. I used to use 5Bs when I was in the rock bands. The 5As have been a little bit better for my wrist. And, you know, I need a little speed sometimes, so it allows me to be a little fast without get tired.
You know that on another note, that does make some difference if you're playing a heavy stick and then you switch to a light stick. It's like, holy crap! You're like,
you gotta be careful,
because you're like, holy crap, because there's no weight there, and you're moving your hands and there's no resistance like a bigger stick, you know, like a 2B or something. Man, it's a little more chunky.
And you can tell, like, so I've had these sticks for about 4 months, and I play on these all the time, and this is all the damage.
I was going to ask you, so you're not much of a rim shot guy?
I am a little bit, but it's I just don't play so hard anymore.
Okay,
Like
well,
it's just
yeah.
weird because like
Yeah.
you know, again, I let the in-ear monitors do most of the work for me, so
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm having to really
Yeah.
just drive
No,
down.
it's
So
more a little finesse. So you
Yeah.
don't have to. Yeah. Okay, I got
yeah.
that. So
Maybe I'm just getting old.
no,
That's what it
you're
is.
not old. Not old yet. You ain't got close to that yet.
Yeah.
But I can see what you're saying because,
Yeah.
like I said, then so you don't go through sticks like a you know.
I used to back in the day.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, I used to too. It's like
Yeah.
golly, and then
It's getting expensive,
they're
man.
very expensive now. They've gone up quite
They're like
dramatically.
wait on these are like $20 like
Really?
per pair. Yeah,
Holy crap.
they're up there. So I like
Yeah.
to take care. But I use these more or less on my electronic kits.
Sure,
So,
yeah.
at the church, I play on an electronic kit. Theater, obviously, electronic kit. So and I love playing on my Roland. It's
That's awesome. Oh yeah, I know. I've
Very
always
fun.
thought about getting one, but every time I go to Guitar Center, I'm like almost out the door with the big box, and I'm like, I don't know,
it's
man. I don't know.
definitely an investment,
It
but
is.
it's something
It
you have
is.
to be prepared for.
But it's so the sound is so fucking cool, man. When you got that amp with that low end,
Especially when
and
you get
just-
it dialed in.
Oh,
There's a lot of
man.
settings,
Yeah,
like right out of the
dude.
box, they sound good. But man, when you start messing
yeah,
with like
yeah, yeah.
all the, it's
That's what I said. That's what I was
so
telling
much.
them. And I said, go down there, and I said, man, I just want to sit there and play for like,
Yeah.
I just want to keep playing. And they're like, okay, you gotta let the next guy play. You know,
Yeah.
like, dang it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I know what you're saying there. So, would you be willing to jam out and play some stuff for us?
Sure.
I know everybody wants to hear what you got, and here's your chance. You know, let's hear you, man.
Okay.
Ricci Amador, folks. This guy is awesome. It's whale away, brother. All right, Ricci Amador. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.